Well, 4 goals usually gets it done in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the Canes were in for a rude awakening tonight up in Jersey.
And we got a first-time winner today at the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow Club. An exciting final round capped off by tears of joy from the champion.
And fists fly in pit road during today's NASCAR Cup Series race, but that's just the beginning of the action on the track. Ooh. Welcome into Charlotte Sports Live. Gabe McDonald here with Mike Lissette. Mike, happy Sunday to you, my man.
Yeah, happy Sunday. We had some fighting there. No fighting here as we are on the same page. You got NASCAR in Kansas. We saw that. Charlotte FC coming across its biggest win perhaps of the season so far. And the Panthers giving back to the community. Well, we got to start with playoff hockey. The Canes looking to go up 3-0 on the Devils in their semifinal round series. But today, the series shifted to Jersey, and that would spell trouble for Carolina. First period, Timo Meier picking the perfect time to get his first goal of the postseason. Got to pass Frederik Andersen, 1-0 New Jersey. I'd like to say things only got better for Andersen from there, but that would be a straight-up lie. Jack Hughes and Brendan Smith going back and forth. Hughes ends up with the goal, 2-0 Devils. They led 3-0 after one. If you take a look at the replay, Carolina ended up changing goalies, but it didn't matter. Pyotr Kochetkov ended up giving up 4 goals. That's the same amount Andersen gave up. 8-4 was the final. This was not Carolina's night. All right, thank you, Grace. On to racing. NASCAR is preparing for a Carolina takeover. Over the next 3 weeks, they'll hit up Darlington, North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, and then finally a stop in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Today, they had business in Kansas, and there was a lot of business. Talking about the Advent Health 400, this one had a little bit of everything. Starting out with Kyle Busch, just named to NASCAR's top 75 all-time drivers list. No celebrating today, just sulking. Got turned with 3 laps to go in the second stage, crashed into the wall. He was done. Meanwhile, Ty Gibbs also finished up a bit earlier than expected. 91 laps left. He lost control, ended up smacking into the inside wall. 25 laps later. Now, I want you to remember this coming up right here. Noah Gragson in the 42, Ross Chastain in the 1. They're each going to get a bump on each other. Now, you'd think that would be it, but oh no, not the case. More on this soon. First, though, the finish. 3 laps to go. Denny Hamlin trying to make a charge. Kyle Larson holding his position. However, we jump to the final lap. Hamlin still trying to get that lead, finds himself fading back, but watch right here. Little love tap, and there he goes. Hamlin gets the checkered flag at Kansas in dramatic fashion. Larson still was able to finish in second. Remember, though, that Chastain and Gragson incident? Well, oh boy, after the race, the confrontation turned physical. Gragson initiated the contact, grabbed Chastain there, but then Chastain followed up with a blow. Feels like I'm doing boxing play-by-play here. So far, there have been no statements or punishments from NASCAR. There has, though, been a tweet from NASCAR promoting the fight. So clearly, while they will be handing out suspensions tomorrow, they are all out on this right now is for the cause of social media. All right, we all know it. Postseason basketball has become all too rare here in Charlotte. While the Hornets' last playoff appearance was back in 2016, the last time they actually won a series was 19 years ago. That's the longest active drought in the NBA today. But that kind of futility wasn't always a thing. In fact, there was a time in the 90s where this city had big dreams and big stars. It may seem hard to believe now, but 30 years ago this past week, this was the place to be in the Queen City.
It was pretty phenomenal when you think about it.
It was a place where the dreams of an up-and-coming franchise came true. And yet today is a reminder of what might have been.
Every time I go through Charlotte, I think about, what if?
Former Hornets center Alonzo Mourning isn't the only one who asked that question. Have things gone another way? Maybe the entire landscape of the NBA changes, and a championship banner or two might even hang from the rafters at the Spectrum Center.
There was so much energy in that arena when we were in the playoffs that year.
The Hornets get a steal right off the... With a chance to win their first playoff series in the team's 5-year existence, the Charlotte Coliseum, the Hornets' former home, was buzzing. It was Game 4 of a first-round matchup with the Celtics, and while Boston had 16 NBA championships, Charlotte had a 2-1 series lead, as well as a cool factor no title could buy.
We had some characteristic guys you know, myself, LJ, and Zoe, as well as Johnny Newman and Del Curry.
And now, with all due respect to the Leprechaun, 3.3 seconds left. This was the Hornets' moment.
Boston's got everybody D'd up, but the guy they don't have really D'd up is Alonzo Mourning.
103-102, Boston. It would be a mistake the Celtics would regret.
I wasn't planning on shooting the ball coming out of the timeout. I wasn't. But it was instincts that took over.
Charlotte out of timeout.
You know, the ball ended up in my hands.
Mourning, the shot.
Through the grace of God, it fell through the net.
Game over.
Oh, it was amazing. It was a surreal moment for all of us.
It's over.
I was like the fifth one in on the pile on Alonzo, and I never would go in with the players and anything, but I felt such a connection with that team. It was just a memorable part that I'll never forget.
What presence of mind by the rookie.
Well, when it went in, you know, I had that feeling that I've arrived.
The Hornets move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. By winning the series, it felt like Charlotte had to.
I mean, really. I mean, you ask anybody, hey, we're going to win the whole thing.
But it never happened.
As the Knicks defeat the Hornets.
That's the ugly head of the NBA when it shows itself.
Within 3 years, Mourning was gone, eventually winning a championship with the Heat. Miami became his home, while Charlotte was now his history.
I hated leaving. When I did, because I thought I was going to spend my whole career there, you know, but the basketball gods, you know, had bigger plans for me.
Ultimately, plans for the Coliseum were not as kind. The building was imploded in 2007. The area is now a growing neighborhood. Most there have no idea they're living on basketball history. We gotta see that again! Mourning, however, has not forgotten his part in it.
I have a picture of the shot. I got a picture of me lying on the floor with all the guys on top of me. It's a pretty cool picture.
As far as mementos go, it's a good one to have. Because unlike a construction site, this still image provides only comfort and no hint of what ifs. So, true story. That play was originally designed for, you know who it was? The original taker of that shot, who it was supposed to be?
Larry Johnson?
He was option number 2. Option number 1 was Del Curry.
Imagine if,
Yeah.
think about that. I mean, 30 years later, man, just so iconic. Now, obviously, the Hornets with where they are. You mentioned the longest active drought, not winning a series. How long do you think it takes before they get back to that level? Obviously, you got a young star in LaMelo Ball, but you got to get other pieces around it.
Well, I mean, if you remember, they were not that far away from it when they had Miles Bridges playing, so they get him back if he signs and everything's good to go this year. They could be a playing team again. But the key is how they do in the draft. The beauty, and I guess what people detract about the NBA sometimes is more so than any other sport, it just takes one guy to turn things around. If Victor Wembanyama is as good as everybody says he is, and the Hornets somehow end up getting him,
Complete 180.
then all of a sudden you look and, well, now, I mean, again, this is all best case scenario, but let's say they get Victor, and the next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. Next thing you know, no pun intended, some buzz starts generating. Then all of a sudden, maybe a free agent is like, well, hold on, this seems like a happening place. Next thing you know, you're right there in the conference final picture, and then really it's like being in football in the conference. It's anybody's game at that point. You could sweep right in and go in. So you know what? I mean, again, there's a lot of what ifs, but the dominoes, if they start falling, you'd be surprised how quickly this can turn around.
It happens quicker in the NBA.
All right, in the minors, the Charlotte Knights offense in high gear at Gwinnett today. Already up 3-0 in the first. Jake Marisnik getting it down the line. This is a fair ball. Bases clear. 2 runs come in. Charlotte up 5-0. They lead 6-0 after the inning. However, the best was yet to come. 5th inning, that's Yoan Moncada, and that is gone. 2-run blast. Moncada went 3 for 3 in a rehab appearance. Knights as a team had 23 hits. They take it 18-11. Well, this week, the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow Club was the talk of the golf community. Before the tournament teed off, a clinic for kids put the game in proper perspective. Queen City News reporter John Lee tells us why golf lessons were just the beginning. NASCAR is preparing for a Carolina takeover. Over the next 3 weeks, they'll hit up Darlington, then North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, and finally a stop here in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Today, they had business in Kansas. NASCAR is preparing for a Carolina takeover. Over the next 3 weeks, they'll hit up Darlington, then North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, And finally, a stop here in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Today, they had business in Kansas, talking about the Advent Health 400. This one had a little bit of everything, starting with Kyle Busch, just named NASCAR's top 75 all-time drivers list. No celebrating today. I'm saying today. I can't say today. I'm sorry. I said it the second time. Do it again. Sorry. All right, last time. 3, 2, 1. NASCAR is preparing for a Carolina takeover. Over the next 3 weeks, they'll hit up Darlington, then North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, and finally back here in Charlotte. Not back here. 3, 2, 1. NASCAR is preparing for a Carolina takeover. Over the next 3 weeks, they'll hit up Darlington, then North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, and finally a stop in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Sunday, though, they had business in Kansas, talking about the Advent Health 400. This one had a little bit of everything, starting with Kyle Busch, just named to NASCAR's top 75 all-time drivers list. No celebrating in this one, just sulking. Got turned with 3 laps to go in the second stage, crashed into the wall. His day was done. Meanwhile, Ty Gibbs also finished up a little earlier than expected with 91 laps left. He lost control, ended up smacking the inside wall. 25 laps later. Now, I want you to remember this moment right here. Noah Gragson in the 42. Ross Chastain, the 1. They each bumped. Now you think, okay, well, that's the end of it. But indeed, that was not the case. More on it soon. Now to the finish. We got 3 laps to go. Denny Hamlin trying to make a charge. Kyle Larson doing a good job holding his position. Hamlin, though, he was persistent, wouldn't quit. Final lap, finds himself fading back, but on the way back, bumps Larson. There goes the 5, and here comes Hamlin. He gets the checkered flag in dramatic fashion at Kansas.
Yeah, so proud of this whole FedEx team, and I got position on him there. I was trying to side draft him, but clipped his left rear. But glad he was able to at least finish, and proud of my FedEx team, though. 400 wins now for Joe Gibbs Racing. Just such a great accomplishment for them.
Yeah, Larson still was able to come in second. But remember that Chastain-Gragson incident? Well, they did too. After the race, there was a confrontation turned physical. Gragson initiated the contact. Chastain then landed a blow. No statements or punishments from NASCAR as of Sunday, but I have a feeling that is going to change today. You want to keep it on Charlotte Sports Live, coming up tonight at 11 o'clock to find out the latest.